18 Anderson Township Zoning Commission meeting. First on our agenda is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion? Okay, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Second on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for the November 27th, 2017 Anderson Township Zoning Commission meeting. We do have enough to vote on this, so anyone have any comments concerning the minutes? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. A second?
A second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. DeGraggio?
Abstain.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Gothard.
Oh, Mr. Goddard?
Yes. That's okay. It's the story of my life. So. First case on the agenda is for a final development plan for case 2-2017. I'll turn it over to Mr. Drury to give staff report.
Thank you. The applicant is MP Development on behalf of General Protestant Orphan Home, who is the property owner. The location is at 6881 Beachmont Avenue, or a portion of 6881 Beachmont Avenue. And the zoning now is DD Plan Multiple Residence. The request tonight is to approve a final development plan for the proposed development of an 80,000 square foot, two-story assisted living memory care facility. In addition to that, a variance is being requested for wall signage for the property. So we won't go through the site history per se, but the case history, the case began in August of 23rd, 2017, and that was with a pre-submittal meeting with adjoining property owners. From there, an application was made for a zone change from C single family to DD Plan Multifamily to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission in October. And then later in October on the 23rd of 2017, the Zoning Commission heard the request, recommended approval with conditions, and then finally the Board of Township Trustees heard the case in November the 16th, 2017, and approved the zone change with conditions. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to evaluate the conditions that were placed on the zone change to ensure compliance with those conditions and ensure compliance and consistency with the plan that was presented through the zone change process with the final development plan. These were the 4 conditions that were placed on the approval from the trustees, and with these in parentheses is the review from the site plan or the materials that were submitted. Sorry, just one second. So number 1, the site plan shall be limited to 1 freestanding monument-style sign with a maximum height and area in compliance with the zoning resolution. The plan has been changed to lower the sign height to 6 feet. Therefore, the freestanding sign is in compliance with the zoning resolution and what was reviewed by the Zoning Commission originally. Number 2 is that a sidewalk shall be constructed along the entire frontage of Beachmont Avenue unless an agreement is reached with the township in accordance with Article 5.3D2C of the zoning resolution. The site plan does identify a sidewalk, and actually let me go on to the we'll go on to the site plan. So just to review, the area outlined in red was the area of the zone change. This is the topography map, aerial, the zoning map. This was the area in particular that's so this is the area that went through the zone change process. So this is the site plan that is submitted. A sidewalk has, not on this site plan, is this the right? Well, the site plan that is before you, a sidewalk has been added along the frontage of Beachmont Avenue, with the exception it does not extend fully to the property line to the east because of the deep ravine, and it's impractical to extend that through the ravine. The other, to the west, the sidewalk does need to be extended to the property line. It stops just shy of the property line. So that is in compliance with condition number 2. Condition number 3 was that construction limits and temporary fencing shall be indicated to ensure all proposed woodland preservation areas and boundaries protected during construction. I have been told that will be added to the final development plan set, and we'll ask the applicant if that was in the most recent copy that was provided to you. And number 4 was concerning the pedestrian easement and connection in the southeast corner of the property line, or property, and that is in this general vicinity. So the applicant has identified on the plan sheet in front of you that a pedestrian easement will be permitted through their property as well as a path to the property line. At this point in time, the Beach Acres, the adjoining property owner, has not agreed to the connection, so therefore they are showing it on their property to the property line. Just to review, these are the elevations that were presented during the zone change hearing. The two wall signs, one is proposed in this general vicinity of the building. This would be, if we go back to the site plan, so the wall signs, one is proposed on this facade of the building, facing Beachmont Avenue, and then the second wall sign is proposed on this corner of the building. Both of those wall signs are proposed at 35.5 square feet, and the maximum allowed wall signage in the DD zoning district is 20 square feet, and that's just one 20-square-foot sign per building. So they are requesting two, both 35.5, one on this elevation and then the second on this elevation. This is the freestanding sign, however, it has been reduced in height to 6 feet and therefore is in compliance. The landscaping plan is consistent with what was submitted and is compliant with the township zoning regulations. This was an area of concern initially, and so additional evergreen and screening has been added to block and to buffer the closest single-family residence to this property, and headlights pulling in and out of the entry. Perimeter parking landscaping has been added, as well as interior. And then there were questions at the zoning commission meeting regarding the courtyard landscaping, and detailed landscaping plans were submitted as part of your packet for the courtyard landscaping as well. The dumpster enclosure is compliant. This is just a topography map. The lighting plan is also compliant. The light posts are at a maximum of 24 feet in height, and then the foot candles are all at 0.1 or less, actually mostly 0 at the property lines. These were just other sheets that were listed. We won't go through all of the site photos. So again, two initial variances. One was for the freestanding sign and the other were for the two wall signs, but the freestanding sign now is compliant, so really the only outstanding variance would be for the two wall signs. And so, and staff is of the opinion that the variance for the wall signs should be granted due to the angles of the buildings, the sheer size of the buildings. We feel that the 35.5 square foot sign would be proportional to the size of the building. It's also set back over 100 feet to the right-of-way, Beachmont Avenue. So 20 square foot sign probably wouldn't be that visible from the roadway. So we feel that the 35.5 is appropriate and would have no negative, would not have a adverse impact on surrounding properties. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Boone, any questions of staff?
Nope.
Ms. DiBaggio?
I have one quick question. The sidewalk that is now being extended to the northwest corner of the property, on the southeast side, you said there's a ravine there, correct?
There is.
So, just out of curiosity, what happens when eventually something else happens with the next property? I know the point is to have sidewalks throughout. What happens to that ravine area?
Most likely the sidewalk would come up closer to the roadway, and there is a shoulder in that area. I don't think I have a good picture But here's the topography map, so you can see the ravine that goes in this particular area. Actually, the ravine's right through here. So most likely, if or when Beach Acres redevelops or the township constructs a walk in that area, it'll be closer to the right-of-way, and we would just tie into the sidewalk that the applicants will be building.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, my question was similar, it seems like it's now in sort of an island that it can't connect to Beach Acres. Are your plans to get the right-of-way on the back side of the property, the pathway or something?
I think we'll continue discussions with Beach Acres. At this point, the township would like to at least tie in to the sidewalk closer down to Bernie, and that would make a connection from Bernie to the Stonecrest sidewalk. That would complete that
It doesn't give you
connection.
access into the Beach Acres?
It doesn't give you all the way to Beach Acres yet. So there's a couple of different ideas that we're looking at in our Beachmont plan update for this segment of Beachmont Avenue. One is shifting the lanes to allow for either a sidewalk or possible on-street parking, and we're working with our engineer to look at different options in this particular area.
Okay. And then adding the screening to protect the private residents, does that affect the visibility of the wall sign?
You can ask the applicant on the placement of that, but I believe the screening, the sign would be in front of the screening. So I'm sorry, the wall sign, not the freestanding.
Yeah, the
sign.
wall sign of the southwest?
You're right, it would be right here.
Right there, yeah.
I think it's a good question for the applicant.
Okay. No other questions?
Okay. Ms. McBride?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. Did they have to dedicate right-of-way?
Yes.
And so they've done that, and these plans?
Yes.
Reflect
Mhm.
that right-of-way? Okay.
Yeah.
And then so the sign then meets, the ground mount sign meets the setback after the right-of-way
Yeah,
dedication?
it's outside of the right-of-way. Our regulations are 10 feet from the edge of pavement or outside the right-of-way, so being outside the right-of-way will meet the requirements.
Okay. And then lastly, I didn't see that the ground sign was going to be in a landscape bed.
I don't know that the landscape plan, that it was identified in the landscape plan, so.
The one I've got shows the sign, but it doesn't show it in a landscape bed, so maybe I can ask the applicant that.
Okay.
Make sure that it will be on the final, when we submit the final plan to Paul.
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I have no questions, so if the applicant would like to address the commission, please state your name, address, and affiliation to the case, please.
Okay. Name's Josh Shaw. I'm with the Kleinger's Group, 6305 Central Park Drive in Westchester. I am the project manager for the civil engineer company on the project here. We also did the landscaping plans as well. We are not the architect, though. Speaking to your question earlier regarding the landscaping bed around the freestanding sign, I would assume we will put that in. That was an oversight, so we will put that in the final development plan that'll be approved by Paul. So I don't see any issues with that at all. Regarding the trees that are planted out front and if they're going to block the building signage, they are canopy trees, so once they get a little larger and it's summertime, yeah, the leaves will probably block that signage a little bit. In the wintertime, you'll be able to see through it some, so you'll still get some appeal from it. But it's not going to be, I mean, I don't think you're going to be seeing this thing standing up and screaming at you out there or anything.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yep.
or-
So Ms. McBride, questions of the applicant?
Yeah, so talk to me about the wall signs, because I've done a lot of assisted living facilities, and none of them have ever had any building signage.
Okay. More of the architect, but let me see here a second.
I mean, I think it kind of detracts from the residential character of the building, quite frankly. And are those going to be channel cut letters, or they look like box signs from the,
I know they're backlit. I am not,
I mean, they said they were internally illuminated, but it looks almost like it's just a box sign.
mounted on the side.
Yeah, I mean, I think the building sets back far enough, given your landscaping, that I just don't think that they're going to be visible, and I really think it detracts from the residential character. I think we've got a lovely building, and I think to junk it up with those signs is just not appropriate, and again, it's not something I typically see associated with assisted living facilities as building signage.
Okay. Do you have any pictures by any chance of some of the wall signs?
I mean, while she's looking for that, I assume you probably wouldn't have a problem with increasing the size. The non-deciduous trees there in the northwest corner that are helping to shield that single-family residence, particularly from the car headlights that are going to be coming when folks are leaving the facility, to increase that in height at planning from 6 to 7, because you know you're going to get 6, 5.5, from 8 to 10, which means you're probably going to get 7.5 to 8.
Yeah.
And then to replace those shingle oak with Douglas fir, to make sure that those headlights, because you can see directly when those cars are coming in, leaving, that's exactly where those shingle oak are. And that's going to go right into the side of that house. So we'd want to make sure that that was properly screened.
So the shingle oak to Douglas fir
And then
and
from
the
6
6
to
foot
7 to 8 to 10.
to 8 to 10. Yeah, I don't see any problem with adding that.
And those are the only comments I have, or questions of this.
Mr. Lewis, questions of the applicant?
No.
Ms. DiMaggio?
I have one question. I'm assuming because of the business you're all in, that all the vegetation that is especially in that memory care area would be of a type that if a resident should decide to ingest some of it, that they are not going to become ill.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, I understand
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
That's why I'm pointing it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a consideration. I'm sure they have dealt with that before, and so we worked with their architect and came up with the courtyard areas, so we'll confirm that, though.
Thank you.
I do not have any pictures depicting the wall signs.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boone, any questions of the
No.
applicant? Okay. I have a couple. The generator, is it going to be in any sort of enclosure or screening from view from adjacent properties? I know it's tucked in the corner there, but...
It's back in behind everything, and there are some plantings on the parking lot side of the generator.
Okay.
So those plantings will grow to block the view of it, but you've also got your screening, your natural buffer that's existing back in there as well.
I guess I'm looking from Beachmont Avenue, you'll have multiple layers, but would you be willing on the west side of the generator to build a wall similar to the dumpster enclosure as a screen for that generator?
Let's see.
And that would screen it from the Beach Acres adjacent property also.
So number 11 is our generator pad. And you're wanting screening on the east side of it?
Yes, I'm sorry, on the east side.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. Yeah, I don't see any issue with that. The only thing we have to make sure is that we maintain access to it, but outside of that, we can put some screening in there.
Okay. And then, do you have any details of the wood fence that's going to be adjacent to the properties? You have the decorative wood fence that faces sort of northwest, and then the wood fence that faces more south.
Let me see what the
Of the courtyard area.
calls out on that.
I think it's referred to as a double-sided wood fence.
It's just going to be a double-sided, just your standard double-sided wood lap fence.
I guess, would you be willing to introduce some landscaping between the wood fence and the adjacent parcel to, sort of soften the look of the wood fence?
Let's see, which one is this?
There's a wood fence sort of from the southwest sort of courtyard area. Yeah, right there. Yep, right there.
The southwest, if the southwest is against that entire triangular parcel that's all wooded back in there currently,
Currently, though.
yeah, if you want that, we can.
Is it that where they bring up the fence during the construction to protect it?
No, this is a permanent fence based
I
on.
know, but I thought there was another fence going up during,
There
to
is.
protect the wooded area.
Yeah, to protect the wooded area of the.
Yeah, there's a
adjacent parcel.
construction fence around that area,
Right.
outside of that area a little bit.
I'm just, again, future development, who knows what's going to happen, and that opportunity to maybe, soften a little bit from that future development is sort of what I'm thinking.
Well, you guys are purchasing that property as well,
Okay, all right.
so I don't think that's a,
Currently, it doesn't show any sort of pedestrian access from the Beachmont Avenue sidewalk onto the property.
say that again, sorry?
Actual sidewalk from the Beachmont sidewalk to like the front door. I didn't see any pedestrian access in that.
Okay. Yeah, we could add something for that. I don't see a problem with bringing a sidewalk into there.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great, thank you. And then, for the access, the pedestrian access onto the Beach Acres property, you're showing a 4-foot gravel side, walkway?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any plans if that easement goes through to make it more permanent or more walkable surface than this a gravel?
I think if the other easement goes through, they would consider that. At this time, I don't know that it's justified. They don't want to have to keep going out and seal coating something that's asphalt when it's not connected yet. So, I could see it later on occurring, but not necessarily right now.
Okay. And Paul, I guess I had a question of staff. Gravel walkway acceptable under the zoning?
This is a unique situation because right now it is a sidewalk to nowhere.
Right.
And they are, I don't know what's the best.
I know, I didn't either, so.
I think the best, we have, they are agreeing to an easement to allow for future connections through there, so I don't know if paving it at this point in time
Okay.
is really justified.
All right. That's
But
all
if
my
it were to
question.
be connected in the future, then it should be.
Yes.
Sherry had some more information on the building signage.
Great.
That the letters are,
Black anodized metal letters that are backlit.
So they're channel cut letters, or?
I'm not
On a raceway?
sure if they're channel cut. I don't have a whole lot of details on the letters themselves.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you, sir.
thank you.
Anyone else in the audience want to speak in favor of the applicant and the petition? Okay. Anyone would like to speak opposed to the case in front of us? Right, seeing no hands or no movement, discussion amongst the commission?
Close the public hearing.
Oh, I'll close the public hearing, thank you. That's why next time it's going to be somebody else. We'll close the public hearing. With that, any discussion amongst the commission?
I just think she brought up a good point about maybe we'd like to see an artistic rendition of the signage that's on the wall to get an idea of what we're approving or not approving.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be visible, and again, I think it detracts from a really attractive building.
Agreed.
Anyone else?
I like it. I think it's modern. It kind of adds a flair to it, so I'm all in favor of the signage myself.
Okay.
I happened to come down on the sign of, side of Jay and Ann, and that when I first looked at it, I thought, well, who on earth is going to be seeing these signs because of the angle they're at? I don't feel they're necessary. I don't think it necessarily detracts from it, but I just don't see the point in it.
I guess my thought on that is, honestly, we don't have enough information to actually say it is appropriate or not appropriate. I think if the applicant comes back with more information, then we can truly consider it at that time. But we just don't have enough information on the sign.
That sounds fair.
So with that, anyone want to, any other comments or discussion topics? All right, someone like to entertain a motion?
My trusty notes here. So I would make a motion for Case Anderson 2-2017 Anderson Final Development Plan for Beechmont Stonecrest, 6881 Beechmont Avenue, that we approve the final development plan with the following conditions, that there be no variance granted for the freestanding sign. It's my understanding that's been withdrawn, but there would be no variance granted for the freestanding sign. There would be no wall signs permitted at this point in time, that the ground-mounted sign would be located in a landscape bed, that the non-deciduous trees to be planted in the northwest corner of the property adjacent to single-family residences, excuse me, be increased in height from 6 to 7 feet to 8 to 10 feet, and that the 3 shingle oak trees that are proposed for that area be replaced with Douglas fir trees, and that a screen wall and landscaping be added to screen the generator from adjacent properties and from the property itself, and that if the walkway is to connect to, if the pedestrian walkway in the southeast corner of the property is to connect to Beach Acres, that it would be paved at that point in time.
Pedestrian connection to Beechmont Avenue sidewalk.
Oh, I'm sorry, that they're, can you tell me what that amendment's going to be?
The sidewalk, there'll be a
What's that?
pedestrian sidewalk from the property to the Beechmont Avenue sidewalk.
I hope you got that, Sarah, so, that also.
We did that, and that is a zoning requirement. You're right.
With that, a second for the motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Please call roll.
Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. DiBiagio?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Gothard?
Yes. So thank you very much. With that, that brings us to the last item on the agenda, election of new officers and a new chair for the commission. So amongst them, discuss
I
amongst
would
yourself.
nominate Mr. Gothard if he was so.
Now, Mr. Gothard needs sit on the other end for another session. 2 in a row. I'd love to be on the commission, but love to somebody else take the chair. Thank you, though.
Mr. Lewis?
I think Mr. Lewis would be a
Mr.
good
Lewis,
choice.
would you like to do that?
I know I should have done that.
I would
Well, I
like
didn't
to...
come last year, and I got voted in,
I
so
think I did that also. I would like to nominate Mr. Lewis as the chair.
I will second that.
So Ann made a motion for Jay to be chair?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I wanted to get that second in really quick.
Yeah, I just-
Just make sure you show up.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to take a vote? I don't know if we need to take a vote on that or not.
Let's take a vote.
Let's take a vote.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I abstain.
Okay. Vice chair.
Now, nomination for vice chair.
Can the vice chair make motions?
Ken?
Yes.
Yes.
I nominate Ann.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye.
I will
All
also
opposed?
abstain.
All right. With that, any interest in next month's meeting?
Let's see, February, I don't believe we will have. We definitely have several pending. I think they will come in for March and not February, but I'll let you know.
Okay, great. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting unless anyone's opposed. All right, thank you very much.